I'm David Cameo, and we are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. Today we're talking about Diverged, The Walking Dead's 21st episode of Season 10, the 5th in 6 bonus episodes, and a little bit of housekeeping before we start. We just recorded last week our interview with Peggy Schott, aka Tess from Fear the Walking Dead. And I lost my Instagram stream for some reason, I think. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Nope, I'm still there. And I encourage you to actually watch it. We just released it the day before yesterday, just before our Jackbox games, which we play every Wednesday. And we invite all of you to join us on stream. You could be a part of... We may have another recording with another Fear the Walking Dead actor next week. If you want to be in the loop for all this stuff, when we record, when you can join us in the chat to ask your own fan questions, head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. Follow us there. You don't have to buy us any support. What's good to know about following us is when any exclusives drop, you can have the option of actually buying us a coffee and getting access to our content for 30 days. And if you subscribe to a coffee month, the party just keeps on rolling. And in fact, if you happen to buy us a coffee on this stream right now, this premiere, your support will actually show up in the feed and stay there forever on all the streaming platforms. Another thing to note is that we actually have a ringtone out. It's really cool. I just promoted it yesterday. I created a promo video for it. I highly encourage you to check it out on our social media. Essentially, it is our intro music, which you'll hear in a couple seconds, but you can use it. It's perfectly looped, so you can use it for your alarms, for your ringtones, all that stuff. It's great. I love it. You love it. So why don't you do it? Why don't you just buy it? But if you happen to be supporting us on ko-fi.com/squawkingdead, you will get it free. The link to the free version is in the coffee shop, which is obviously at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead/shop. So it's an easy way of getting to the free version if you have been supporting us. So I highly encourage you to get that, check it out. And there is a sample of it so you can listen to it yourself. So this leads me to the last thing, which is something that I missed talking about in this episode. And I'm going to include this in the audio version of the podcast as well. Right when Carol is looking for the rat in the middle of the night with Dog, there's this creepy music, and it's reminiscent but broken or dissonant of the Whisperers theme. Now, if you've ever heard the Whisperers themes, it kind of sounds like din 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 din, but like a kind of broken jukebox kind of sound. I thought that was kind of very prescient and supposed to be kind of like a thing that gets into your head about like, oh, this should remind me of the Whispers. This should remind me about the chase after Alpha, the rat, the one that escapes. So, unfortunately, I could not include that in the episode. I kind of just forgot about it, but I wanted to let you know about that before we went live because it's not going to be the episode. And the episode is actually remarkably short. It's an hour and 20 minutes. So, for us, it's short. So, I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you in the chat right now. I haven't been seeing your chats, and I've been talking a little too long. But here's the episode. Enjoy. I'll see you in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, thank you for watching. And leave a like already. And make sure if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the description, after the description. And enjoy. We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. And I'm proud to say that there was a lump in my throat last Friday as we were producing Sharondy and Cosmomom09's interview with Peggy Schott. Rachel did the intro that I usually do.
Aww.
And that made me have all the feelings. I'd be like, my little
girl is all grown up. I'm like, I was like, you kept that from me. I'm like,
I did. I didn't even tell you I was gonna do it.
And I was just like, oh, this is a real thing. It's Squawking Dead's a real thing. Anyway, so very happy with that. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we actually have in coffee.com/Squawking Dead, we have the unedited version of our interview with Peggy Schott. You can download that now. Yes, there's some audio drift, obviously, blah, 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 blah. But the principal edit for that interview is actually almost ready. Well, is ready. We just had to put in the text, the images, the rollovers, the details, all that stuff. All the crazy stuff that makes it a really good interview. That's going to be technically episode 125. You're watching episode 126, The Walking Dead's 21st episode of season 10, the 5th of 6 bonus episodes called Diverged. Sharon is actually in the chat as we record, and you could be too. If you head over to ko-fi.com/Squawking Dead, follow us there. And if you want to join in on an episode the day of, we will be releasing the details for it. You can join in, or you could just pick up the unedited episode recordings afterwards for download, for use, for whatever you want to do. You want to masturbate to it? You can do that too. Whatever you want. Whatever you want to do with it. You want to cancel us with it? Feel free. Lord knows Charity's doing it every day, every week. Okay.
Rebecca Punch is here in the chat too.
Oh, God, it's only going to get worse from here.
We got a full house tonight, folks.
Yes, and thank you for being here. And no, I have not seen this buoy. A buoy, which I have not seen. This is a bonus episode. It's something to keep in mind. The fan experience, for some, not all. It seems like it's a lot, but it's not a lot. It's just that noisy minority of people who aren't comfortable with these bonus episodes. As bonus episodes go, I'm not saying they're not meant to move the story, the overall story along. They are. They're just not moving it faster than a normal episode would. The constraints are a little off. The shackles are a little off. They get to tell the story a little slower, get to focus a little bit more on character development, and also get to front load a little bit more knowledge that we can have, telling a little bit more of a narrative tale rather than an overall plot moving, arc moving tale, which I think is important given how long season 10's been. As things go, people watch this episode and they were like kind of mad about it. Now, I get it. I understand it. I mean, we're really not going anywhere.
I can understand boredom, but to be mad, I don't understand people getting mad. That I don't understand. You have nothing to be mad about. These are bonus episodes. Just say thank you. But being bored, sure. I can see where people were bored because it was slower. There wasn't a lot of action, a lot of, you know what I mean? I get that. But to be mad.
But even you, I think maybe you, especially watching it however many hundreds of times you got to watch it. We talked about that in the pre-show. You can get that too if you're listening on that. Yeah. So, but do you see maybe where they're coming from, at least in the terms of boredom, or at least in terms of, I don't know. I only watched it twice. Once to watch, second for notes.
Okay, if people are not a big fan of Carol, then they're going to be bored because it's a heavy Carol episode.
I just yawned too, which doesn't make it any better.
Oh my gosh.
It's only because I'm tired.
And then there's other fans who watch the show on like what I would call like a surface level. You know what I mean? Where you and I and most of the people in our TW family, we watch the characters' development, what they're doing and why they're doing it and what it could mean for the future and what they're going through. If people aren't watching the episodes, watching these characters in that way, then yeah, I could see where they would be pretty bored because Carol's going through some shit. And if you're not sympathetic to that, it's going to be boring.
There may be some characters I'm mad about. Like, I remember when I was saying, oh, yeah, Kelly's part of Team Family. Well, the only reason why I said that was because I was like, meh, Kelly. But the reason why I mentioned that is because I noticed it. I noticed when she actually meant more to the story or to the group or she's sort of acting as part of it. Because the reason why I thought it was mad was because I follow everybody's character development. I try to see if the show is doing them justice. Okay, well, what happened to Marco this week? Nothing. What happened to Marco that week? Nothing.
Right. Where's Marco?
I want to know. Exactly. Now you understand kind of how I watch it. And if I go meh to a character, it's only because the show didn't give them any spotlight or limelight. Not because I have anything against them, though. It's not my fault. It's the show's fault. So there.
Make them a deeper character.
Yeah, exactly. Then I'll care about them more. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I care about the story. That's all I care about. Well, and so this is what brings me to this topic is because these episodes, you could see for someone like me, it's a little hard. But knowing that these are bonus episodes, again, reducing the expectations does help. Has helped me. I was a little concerned a little bit about even one more, but also Splinter. We talked about it last week, and we have to talk about this week, you know. But getting it out of the way, I think I'm okay. Just to kind of give you my gauge, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy this episode. Let's put it this way. I got some things out of it. You were like, "It's a pretty straightforward episode, Dave." I'm like, not so fast. Not so fast. I've got some things. We can talk about some things because some things are revealed in this episode. I listened to a George Drake episode. He actually gave me some good front-loaded knowledge. Just want to say that up front. The whole, as it pertains to The Golden Age of Piracy by Hugh F. Rankin. Now, which talks about Blackbeard the pirate, who was born in Bristol, England, died in Orcacoke, North Carolina. I think I said that right. You never know. That's pretty cool. Pirate that ends up in North Carolina and dies in the U.S. What I thought was cool about that was something that was said on Talking Dead, obviously, which was the concept of Carol having been on the high seas, kind of like fishing for a living. Not obviously, well, actually, we don't know, being a pirate. We don't know. Did I say that right, Sharon D? Ocracoke. Is it Ocracoke? I must have spelled that wrong. Ocracoke. Ocracoke. But yeah, I mean, alluding to Carol on the high seas, which is interesting because, like, in the comic, I think it's Michonne sort of for a little while. And so Carol's taking on that role, something we really never really touched on, actually. I guess maybe we never got around to it, or we were saying, oh, Michonne's going to go on this mission, and she sort of did with Virgil, but it wasn't quite what we thought it would be, obviously.
Right.
What George Drake was saying in his video was that what this is going to maybe allude to is there's a possibility that instead of New Mexico, Daryl and Carol take the high seas. In listening to his video and actually looking at the events of this episode, I'm starting to think actually that what this Carol and Daryl spinoff could be about is everybody keeps assuming that they're together. Because of this episode, you see that these two people are doing things in parallel that intersect at some points and diverge from others. Carol and Daryl are in a similar situation. Works out for Daryl, barely works out for Carol in each situation. But the idea is to highlight how they meet adversity and either overcome it or don't, have a bad day. But in seeing this episode, I'm thinking to myself, what would the spinoff look like? And maybe we can talk about that for a little bit. But I started to think maybe it's those two on separate journeys that will ultimately, maybe at the end of the first season, wind up, or maybe a second season, wind up having them meet up at the end. And then they have to go through it together. Like they're away from each other for a very long time, maybe even a couple years, but they go through similar situations that will ultimately intersect at some point. All of their journeys combined will meet up at one point. Not just them as people, but the sum total of what they've been through and how maybe they found out that even though they had separate experiences, they have some of those experiences have consequences that tie together. So like you'd say they meet a party along the way somewhere else. That party was in contact with or it has some relation to what Carol is going through over on this side. So when they finally meet up, because you have the CRM, you have the Commonwealth, you have the Pioneers still.
Yeah.
So, to spell it out, Virginia's group, because we see them, we're assuming it's them, in episode 1014, which was, again, same season, right? Denies exit.
Everyone is so convinced that Carol and Daryl are going to be together in this spinoff. I'm
13.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Not romantically necessarily, just together in general in their journey. But that is not a guarantee. I think what you're posing is completely plausible, and it sounds exactly like what something AMC would do to us.
Look at all the setup that they're giving us. It's like they're saying, don't be too sure that this is going to be exactly what you think it's going to be.
Now, when Carol picked up that pirate book, the first thing I thought of was, of course, when she was on the boat, she was reminded that she does fine on her own. So to me, this is Carol looking, sort of weighing her options. Do I stay? Do I go? What reason do I have to stay? Now, after watching Find Me and her picking up that book, I think she's also remembering the conversation her and Daryl just had. And he said, I should have let you get back on the boat. And here she is looking at a pirate book reminding her of being on the boat.
I could.
Yeah.
And she could.
And she could. And she even brings it up to Dog later,
In the Betty bed.
Should I go? I am really worried. If people don't start forgiving Carol, and if they don't want to forgive her, that's fine. People have their own opinion on things. But if Carol doesn't start to feel like she's helping out, contributing, that people are at least looking at her a little bit differently now, in a better way, obviously, she might just hightail it out of there. She's a runner.
She's shoplifting in a clothing store. We got a runner.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. If she feels like people don't want her there, she'll leave.
Which makes it actually pretty cool that Jerry is the one to kind of be there for her. Jerry is the one running, sort of, it feels like, Alexandria.
Yeah. Carol even said as much in Find Me. Jerry's stepping up, kind of taking a leadership role. I like it.
This is what I like about what The Walking Dead does sometimes, is that one could easily look at Jerry, obviously a remnant of the kingdom, and now the Hilltop is having to do it now. You could see Jerry as somebody being a victim or someone who is a refugee. But no, Jerry, like Carol in this episode, I was going to say pull up the bootstraps, but then people get triggered. No, he puts his work boots on and he does the work and he just gets into it. And then kind of like Father Gabriel, he just emerges like a leader. Like we didn't see it coming with Father Gabriel. It just turns out, and I think maybe this is how it happened, he just emerged as the natural choice. Somehow over 6-7 years of time, it could just happen. After the events of the storm, Jerry saying, oh, Kingtop, that could be the new name. And then he finds himself in Alexandria again. And, he's pulling him, say, Zeke is gone. Now he could step into some more of a leadership position, which I'm kind of seeing in this episode. I think he's stepping out of his brother's shadow. I say his brother. I don't say his king.
I like it.
But his brother's shadow. And he's like eliciting his own advice. He's could be quoting the king, but he decides not to. I like that bit of it too, but there's a bigger, more relevant reason for why he specifically is in this episode. It's easy to forget that Jerry and Carol have been together for a very long time. Zeke, Carol, and Jerry have been together in the kingdom for 6+ years. But we have to say it out loud because we've forgotten. I'm sure. I was even watching this episode. I'm like, oh yeah, he's giving her the side eye because of what happened in the cave. And like, wait, no, that's not just it. There's more to this. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh. They were playing king and queen in the royal family in the kingdom. Prince Henry and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when you think about that, you think, oh yes, it is sort of about the cave, but it's also him going to her saying, I know you. I know you all these years. Look, I feel bad for having left Magna there. Remember he had his little moment too?
Yeah.
And then when Connie just ended up being missing and Magna turned up episodes later in Morningstar, that's when Carol is going to have her moment. So they both kind of had similar trajectories. I mean, he's not responsible technically, right?
Right.
For abandoning them, but at the same time, so they go through similar journeys. They know each other for several years. And yeah, he might have a little side eye with her after knowing her for so long. He gets it because he was with Henry too. He obviously chooses to do things differently, but he knows his queen. He loves his queen. He's like, yeah, queen, you got the highwaymen to join on when I was saying even murdered those assholes. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of history. There's a lot of history between Jerry and she, and you might have forgotten. It's so easy to forget.
Yeah, well, a lot of that was during a time jump, so we didn't get to see it. We just have to know it. We have to know it and remember it.
It's good that you said it just like that, because that's why it's easy to forget.
Right.
I wanted to mention Sharon D's comment, Daryl and Carol equals John and June. We got a runner.
Yeah, Carol and June being runners. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I think Dory is finding he can do running just as equally well.
Right. I get where John's coming from. He needs to separate himself from all of that.
It's fitting that Jerry chooses to step out of his brother's shadow to elicit his own advice as a leader, by way of a hug. Great. Jerry's doing Jerry. Great. We need more of that. Moving backwards in time, when he says, hey dude, in the beginning, he's like, why are you pretending like everything's okay? I know you. I know something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's kind of like, a lot of shit's happened since we last spoke, bitch.
Right.
And yes, I know you, but why are you pretending like everything's okay? Or like nothing has changed between us? Like,
I know.
I'm not saying there's bad blood. I'm just saying, stop acting like everything's okay. Don't be Alexandria Carol with the cookies and all that shit.
She walks up and says all this stuff, and I was thinking about doing this, and I'm gonna go check out da 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 blah, 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 blah. And then he just goes, hey dude.
Hey dude.
Like
Right.
Totally disregard everything she said and is just like, hi.
Which tells you something else. Like, Carol is meeting another roadblock. I said when we were talking about Find Me, she's pulling the same shit on Daryl in their own way. but she's like pretending like everything's okay. It's not okay. Annoying him about the bike. And in the beginning of the episode, get on the bike. It's like, come on, I just want to be alone. Kind of leave me alone. And then like she's just like, no, we're friends. And then like whatever, they move off. But then like it's the same with Jerry. It's like, I know you, bitch. Come on. Don't pretend like we didn't spend 7 years together.
Right. Yep.
And nothing says it better. When Carol goes off with the red bucket into the wilderness to gather like dandelion greens and nettles and stuff like that. And Jerry goes, rustle up some stones for me.
Yeah.
She goes, perfect. It's like, dude, just getting it from all vectors. He's just like, I'm gonna break you down, bitch. Come on. I know you. Don't pretend like everything's fine. And then at the end, you find they do get some sort of resolution. He's like, Ezekiel has something to say about that. He's like, Ezekiel. And then even she's pushing back. She's like, what else does Ezekiel have to say? Like, I don't know, but here's some hugs. Like,
right.
And she's like, shit. Well, okay.
Oh, it looked like it felt so nice too, didn't it? Big old Cooper hug.
Cooper Andrews. Wait, hold on. We got to get some beard ASMR because obviously I have to fill in where Cooper Andrews can't. Oh yeah. There you go. Let's get some of that. Come on, Cooper. Here we go.
My gosh.
See, Sharon likes to beat me to the punch because I knew about the stone soup line.
Yeah. She had to remind me of it. I didn't remember it. She reminded me.
What's funny is that when Virginia mentions this in I have it. I think it's 514. Ginny mentions this in relation to the group. She says it because you guys are out here eating stone soup. You want to eat stone soup. Stone soup is supposed to represent your shit's running thin, and you're just all trying to co-op and trying to, she says it right now. Why suck on a stone when you could be slurping sloop? So Carol explains it pretty well. However, one of the biggest reasons why stone soup is called stone soup is because, first of all, when the initial person who makes the stone soup is preparing it, they use a large stone in the pot. Now, the reason is obviously, or not so obvious if you don't really pay attention to why the parable is what it is. The stone soup makes the soup look fuller than it really is. And it's an allegory for this episode too. Carol is trying to make herself look fuller in front of Jerry, in front of Daryl, to make her feel more well-adjusted than she really is. You drop a stone into her depths, so it appears like it's a full brim soup is piping hot and boiling out of the pot. It's like, oh, I'm delicious. And Jerry's at the end of the episode, dog is salivating. He's like, but there's nothing there. But what does it mean? We go back to Carol's explanation. Now, that's true. What they end up doing by the end of the thing. And the reason why this tale is so popular is because once it was popularized, you would have people going town to town encouraging the residents to chip in. This tale originated originally from the Pale of Settlement, which was Ukraine. It's a Jewish folktale, actually. Very poor communities, ghettos of Jews huddled in different villages and stuff like that, and they had hard times. So occasionally a rabbi would go to each town, and he would drop a large stone in a big pot and say, I'm cooking this soup here, but you know what? I'm missing a few ingredients, like Carol said in the show. And by the end of it, and this is for Sabbath dinner. This is like one of the meals, okay, that you kind of want to have. You do one a week, and you do the big Sabbath meal on Friday night, and it gives people something to celebrate week by week. Have some sort of ritual or togetherness. What does that mean for Carol? Well, Carol could do it alone, like you said. But part of what happens in this episode is you clearly see moments where Carol excels at so many things. Even the things that she ends up failing on, you're looking on like, how does Carol know how to make a rat trap? How does Carol know how to make soup? How does Carol know how to do this? How does Carol know how to do that? Now, clearly there are some things she does exceedingly well. Killing walkers, for example. And you. It was fun. Foraging. She got a win there. She can now, the steams are in her jets. She's got the energy to keep going after losing. She fixes the solar panels. It works for a little while, breaks down. She's like, okay, well, yes, today's over. Now, nobody's perfect. Things don't always work out the way they should. Fine, we're only human. But it's clear to me from the stone soup parable mentioned in the beginning, yes, you could do it on your own, but it's going to be a whole lot harder. And even Jerry along the way is like, is there anything I could do to help? This is after she in the beginning is asking, hey, can I do anything? And he's like, nope. He's even saying, you can't do this on your own. You can, Can I help? You can, but can I help? This brings me back to the Daryl and Carol spinoff. It makes me almost a little bit weirded out because the show is clearly saying you can't do it on your own. Let people in. We can help you clean up the mess. You can do it yourself, and maybe you should, but you can ask for help to clean up your mess. You went out of your way to clean up ours, expected nothing in return, and got shit for it from your best friend and maybe other people who are not with us, may no longer be with us. We don't know. She doesn't know that, but may no longer be with us. So it's the least we can do. Yes, maybe we feel uneasy about you, but you're you and we love you. Let us help you. Stop being an asshole and pretending everything's okay, that you have a handle on everything. I know you're great, but you're still a human being. But that's why I talk about the Carol and Daryl episode, because now I'm thinking, okay, what is the show trying to tell us? Is the show trying to tell us that she's gonna heal up and then now she's can be great on her own / with Daryl? Because the show has always been telling us along the way that you can do it on your own, but clearly if you want the best chance of survival, it's gonna be with people.
Would watching two well-adjusted heroes be all that entertaining, though? They still need a little bit of grit and drama. That's what we want to watch.
So are they saying that maybe people can be two people?
I mean, I like the idea that Carol and Daryl are capable of, I mean, obviously they're both fine on their own. They're fine, but they're so much better together. So maybe the spinoff will be a little bit of both. Maybe they try to go out on their own, and when they come together, they find out it's just makes more sense. They're the dream team together.
And maybe it is a lot what Daryl said to Rick in episode 902, 901 even, when he was talking about lifting up the sanctuary. Daryl was kind of musing about how things were kind of great when it was just like the Atlanta 5 or like the 7 or 8 or whatever it was, depending on when, but just a small group traveling and just trying to make it through. Yeah. It was good for Daryl. It was good enough for him. Kind of like musing over days gone by. Ha ha ha, first episode. Maybe he gets his wish with the spinoff. But what I wanted to talk about also was there's another parable, a very common Jewish parable about what it means to speak ill of somebody, especially in public. The analogy is as follows. You want to know what it's like to spread rumors about somebody. You want to know what it's like to speak ill of somebody publicly, or even behind closed doors, and how that rumor spreads. Go out in the middle of the square on a windy day and tear open a pillow and watch the feathers fly everywhere. Okay. Wait till the end of the day and pick up all the feathers. Can't do it, right?
No.
This is why it's so bad. It gets away from you, right? We say this a lot about Carol sometimes. Whatever. Sorry, you don't like it. But it's true, because what happens in this episode is that you see mini versions of that. Okay, when Dog is trying to catch the rat, everything gets knocked down. It's an allegory. It's an allegory for what happened with Carol. Just I'm trying to get the rat, trap the rat, and then the rat escapes, which is what happened earlier in the season. And then she screamed up. And she did scream at the rat when the rat got escaped. Not the same way, which scared the shit out of us. But again, it was so cleverly written. It was like, whoa! She had it trapped, and there was like a little hole in the box, and the rat just went whoop and just spilled out. And it was like, alpha!
Right?
And so, but then what happened? Then she went clambering around the room, knocking shit down, going through hoops, doing this, doing that. She needed a Negan, is what we're trying to say.
Well, Dog was supposed to be the Negan. What was he? He was just sitting there.
Completely useless.
Being best friends with the rat now.
Stupid dog. I mean, the dog is the dog. What are you going to play the dog?
The dog, Seven stayed on his mark like a good boy. So he did what he was supposed to.
Carol that was ad-libbing. Just going around the room, and David's like, yo, this is gold.
Right, keep going.
Especially for the blooper reel. Oh, we got 40 minutes of this. We could put this at the end credits of the DVD / Blu-ray.
Oh, I would pay so much money to see that 40 minutes. Oh, I really would.
I hope AMC doesn't hear this. Check.
Yep.
Okay.
Tell me how much. It's all my money's yours.
David Boyd comes to you in the back alley and goes, I got something you want, okay? I got something you want, Rachel. You got the stuff,
right?
And also,
you mean money?
The big bushy beard in a trench coat. Oh, I can't. It's so skeevy.
I don't know if I would meet him in an alley.
He's adorable too, but still.
Alleys are scary. Make everyone scary.
Yeah, exactly. Alleys, trench coats, and big bushy beards together. Separate, I can handle them.
Yeah.
All together. Degrees. Yeah, just a bad recipe. But it's an allegory. Like her just seeing that the rat escaped made her lose her mind, and she focused only on that, didn't care about what she knocked down in the process, didn't care, like, you know, we're running low on food, you know, who cares? It's the rat tearing up the wall because I just need to get at that thing. It's an allegory. But what does it mean? It means get some help.
Yeah.
Get some help. But I want to give credit where credit is due, because I feel like I haven't been emphasizing it enough. Seeing what Carol can do, it reminded us of how impressed we should be by her. And Daryl, but mostly Carol. Like, Daryl was kind of cool. Daryl was like, I got this. Grunt, grunt, snort, 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 grunt. It's odd how he chose the path less traveled and yet made it through. Like, but sometimes stories are told in a way that show virtue, right? And I don't like saying this. Carol's not a bad person, but she did a thing that got broken. Yeah. And so a lot of what this episode is just sometimes stories show that brokenness in different spots in the same episode to illustrate the point a lot, and it's annoying.
Yeah. I think the fact that she's having this reaction says something that she does care. Someone who is so detached and inhuman wouldn't care about their actions. She's clearly suffering for what she did. Yes, she knows it was the right thing, but man, she feels terrible about it. And that's the most human thing, is to have regret, right? Yeah. Well, maybe not regret, but she does feel bad. It feels responsible. There we go. Not regret, responsibility.
Because even after all of that, even after things fell over, and even after she tore up the drywall in the garage, what do you see? You see her sweeping up after herself, putting up the new drywall. And even Jerry saying, it sounds like a nothing thing that Jerry says. But he says, yeah, caring, it's a real problem. This is in reference to him saying, I'm not gonna give up on you.
Right.
But it also says something about Carol, too. And not in words, because she can't really say the fucking words. Yeah, caring, it's a problem. It's the reason why I pick up everything once I'm done messing it up, or I try. Mm-hmm. I care. It's not like I don't. I just couldn't see it at the time, what I was doing. Which, listen, things fall apart. The center cannot hold. But I sometimes think that, like, I don't know, this is a lot like the Beta the Prophet conversation. I like how we can concatenate something to, like, a meme, Beta the Prophet, Gabriel the Touched One, you know, like things like that, where, like, instantly I can say something, you're like, okay, we're getting ready to talk about something spooky. Sometimes I think, and the show hasn't made it 100% clear one way or the other, except for Daryl. Daryl's indispensable. They won't kill him. Sometimes I think Carol is unkillable. Every time I see her on the screen, I see another thing that impresses me about her. She will do something like make a rat trap out of some crazy shit, fix a solar panel. Who knew? Now, I'm not going to challenge that. I'll be like, okay, fine. Maybe she's had to do that many times over the last how many years, whatever.
We've been in the apocalypse for a long time. I'm sure skills have been learned.
There's no indication that tells me that she can't do that. So I'm going to assume that she can. I wonder if she really does need anybody sometimes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Everyone needs people. She might feel like she doesn't, and we saw her living in the little cabin outside of Kingdom by herself, and she thought she was okay. But the longer you go without people, it's just not good for you. You might feel okay, but you're not. You're not. You need people.
Yeah, and what else do you have to live for, really?
We are pack animals.
Oh, more than that, we're social animals.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, pack animals are social animals too, but we're more social than that, you know?
Right. We need community.
And even, okay, I kind of want to bring up this conversation now. Dog says all life is precious. Okay. Like Chuck McGill trying to find the electricity in the walls. Oh, yeah. That was, If you've ever seen that, that's in Better Call Saul. First season. Mm-hmm. I think it's first season. Yeah, right before he killed himself. Killed himself.
Third season, Sharon says.
Oh, was it third season? Oh, God. You said, okay, remember when you said how they're clearly a lot better together, at least Daryl and Carol, right?
Yeah.
They can really do anything, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dream team.
Right before Carol picks up the Golden Age of Piracy book, there's a comic book that doesn't really exist called Man of Armor. But it looks like two superheroes, much in the way that Carol and Daryl are posing in their promos for the TWD season 10 promos, right? Mm-hmm. I remember, after New York Comic Con, praise be upon him. I remember seeing those promo photos of, obviously Denai Guerrera as Michonne and Daryl and Carol, the knife and the pose and this and that, and he's posing this way, same pose as the comic book characters. And it's not just Man of Armor. Man of Armor has a sidekick on the front, a woman's sidekick. And it seems as though Man of Armor is nothing without his sidekick. So that's what
There
it
you
looks
go.
like. It may be the Daryl show. Sorry. but not really. So I want to go back to what Rebecca Punch just said about I've been getting so weird in the apocalypse in quarantine. Well, same thing. She says I can't get anything done if I'm wearing PJ pants. But that's something that I've learned working freelance. I learned that if I had that routine of doing everything that I need to do as if I was going to work, I was in work mode, by getting all dressed and coiffed and all that stuff. There was a ceremony to it and a ritual to it that it puts you in the right mindset. Not so much when you're a technician doing IT work remotely. I just lost all sense of that shit. I lost all semblance of it. I roll out, I start working because that's my life. Sharon D says, no, that's a man of amor. The men of amor. But I don't know what this ultimately leads to. I really don't. Again, with the spinoff looming in the horizon, the mixed messages, I think, that the show is kind of giving off this episode, mostly in the realm, obviously, of in this episode proper, you can't do it alone, let people in. Just like you tried to do it alone, getting alpha, and succeeded, but not without breaking things in the process.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you get excluded from the help. You stop this thing. Like, we're not going to not acknowledge that you helped stop this war. Okay? As mad as even David Cameo is, or was. I'm not a mad person. I have to put this on the virtue part of the character, and I have to say, this has to be addressed, Carol. You can't just keep walking around pretending like everything's okay. It's not okay. Daryl even said it to you last night. I know you're upset. I'm upset for you. But, it has to be addressed, and she knows it.
Yeah.
This episode made it a concerted effort of eliciting that she wants to fix the rip tear in the scarf, which, by the way, I don't know about you, but maybe just the hype. Did you get this weird feeling that when she picked up the scarf, what was your first thought? Gun to your head, first thought.
When she first picked it up, I didn't have a thought until later. The scarf representing Carol, something that's damaged and that she wants to repair. I took that back, though, at the end when she threw it away and gave up on it. And I'm like, whoa, no, we don't give up on broken. Nope. I take back my thoughts, all of them.
No. I think she was trying so hard to fix things that weren't directly related to the thing she needed to fix.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes we only have so much bandwidth. We can't fix everything.
Well,
Things fall apart. The apocalypse is a perfect example of that. Entropy. Sometimes things have to die for new things to grow, which is kind of what I took a little bit out of, again, because they keep bringing up this imagery of the nature scenes. Things, that's the way the world works. Sometimes things die. Sometimes things break down. They can't be fixed. And sometimes it's not worth fixing. Sometimes you can only do so much. And sometimes you can't control everything, even though you think you can. I mean, we find that out with Carl. We find that out with so many different things in this universe. It's not in your control. Like, Talking Dead made it a concerted effort to elicit the fact that so many things are out of your control that these characters are doing. The fuel line is going to break, and you're going to have to fix it. And Daryl goes way out of his way to fix it, but succeeds. Fine. Like I said, they can do anything. Fine. Whatever. I mean, I'm impressed. Again, I'm impressed, but it's like, I couldn't do that. I don't know. These are extraordinary people. But after a while of doing all these extraordinary things, solar panels, rat traps, soup, killing walkers, is a page out of the Passover Haggadah. It's Passover now, right? And there's a thing at the end of the Seder, one of the last few pages, you sing the song called Chad Gadya, which means kid, like a baby goat. And the story goes, basically it starts with one kid, and then a cat eats the kid, and then a dog eats the cat, and then the bull mows down the dog, which is a wolf. And then there's a whole string of events, right, that happens to the kid, but what had to happen to the kids, and then this thing eats that thing, and then it eats that thing, and this slaughters that, and this does this, and this, and then the angel of death gets slaughtered by God. And it's a whole string of events. It's like, there's nothing's in your control. That's the thing. And the whole thing is that nothing's in control except for God. That's the whole thing. So this has to happen here for the solar panel to get fixed, and then this has to and then they can't make the soup without the power, and then this has to happen for that, and then we have to catch the rat, or else the soup is never going to get made, and the dog is going to get ornery. And so, like, I kept thinking of, like, we just did this Passover Seder. Like, it's a lot like that. She's going around all of Alexandria just to make soup, just to get this one win.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, she's just like, this scarf thing isn't even on the agenda. It's like not even part of the thing I'm trying to do. So why am I trying to fix everything? I'm only human. I can only do so much. But going back to my first instinct was I scrambled because of course I didn't have time to do this because I was thinking to myself, why does this scarf remind me of Leah? I don't know why. I just thought, seems like something Lynn Collins would wear. Didn't it? Like it was like a tie-dye pink or something?
It was like sheer. It looked sheer, sort of fashion-y, like not a practical scarf. It was, something pretty.
Or even something like even Carol at some points in her Carol in some iterations of her character, she used to wear that scarf thing that went around her head too. It looked kind of like that. So I was like thinking to myself,
well, Carol or Melissa? Melissa wears a lot of headscarves.
Maybe it was Melissa, but I don't know. Maybe Carol. Did Carol maybe wear something like that? Maybe she did at one point.
She might have, like when her hair was still buzzed.
In transition.
I feel like I maybe remember her with something on her head.
So I thought about that. I thought about Leah, and then I thought about then my mind started playing tricks on me, like on a Friday night. I wasn't high, I promise. And then I started thinking, oh my God, what if Leah was a whisperer and like, right? And so I'm just thinking to myself, like, was she part of the group? And then I thought this weird thought, like, what if Leah was the person? Oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, this would be crazy if this was true because we saw what the person's face looked like later. Like, what if Leah was the person that Daryl shot with the bolt, the whisperer that with Judith? And got something from her hand. I forgot what it was, but either way, like, what if that was Leah, right? Like, and he shot her like a long time ago. And I was just thinking to myself, like, what if that was that? Like, what if he inadvertently, like, and do you remember that scene? He was so callous in front of Judith, killing this thing, and Judith was kind of like, is this what it's got to be? Like, is this what we have to become, what we become, right?
Right.
Is that what you become when you lose people, right? Is that what you have to become? And then what about the irony of having to become that thing after trying to find this person and you inadvertently killed that person? This is the thought that came in. What if he killed Leah a long time ago? He didn't even know. What if she was part of the Whisperers? It's just got me thinking.
Oh my gosh.
And then the hole in the scarf just put it all together. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's dead a long time ago. Wouldn't that be crazy though?
That would be crazy, but they would have to somehow explain it, and then we would have to go back to that scene where Daryl kills the Whisperer to explain it somehow. We've met Leah. There's got to be a wrap-up at some point. Like, she didn't die like Maze did, so there's got to be a conclusion to her story. Right. If that was the conclusion, then the show would have to go back to that scene to tell us that it was her.
And make him see that or something. But then again, I think we're getting closer to be of the mind that she died right when he met her. Like Nisa said. Remember Nisa
I think she's still alive and out there somewhere. I don't know why she left. I don't know if she left voluntarily or if another group picked her up and held her captive and now she's just a part of it. But I think she's alive and out there somewhere. And I think we'll see her in season 11.
I hope so. Because it's definitely not going to be this season. Thank you. Here's Negan.
No, definitely not.
Unless Here's Negan shows some sort of Leah origin story. Maybe. You never know. Well, which actually kind of leads us to a different path. Like we see Daryl go off on the road less traveled. Daryl says good luck to Carol going to Alexandria. And I thought that was an interesting choice of words. They're kind of close. They're not that far away. I'm assuming because it can't be that far that it's that perilous since it's a direct route to Alexandria.
Oh, I thought he meant good luck with the Alexandrians.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, that's not the journey there.
But you wouldn't think like it feels like a throwaway like, oh, like how you doing? Good morning. Good luck. Like a throwaway line. It's two things. Obviously, he's wishing her well, like in spite of their just having an argument. But it also means good luck with the Alexandrians, like you said. But you wouldn't think that on first glance. Like you'd be like, oh, see it, sayonara. Like whatever. They know about the hilltop. Look, we just had the tower, which wasn't that long ago. And in the tower, everybody was giving Carol the side eye. Did you forget? Yeah, of course I forgot. Everybody was giving her shit. Diana was giving her shit. Everybody was. So she gets back and there is a little tension between her and Jerry. Not much, because again, Jerry's the perfect person to be the one to talk to at first. And Jerry's in charge, which is great for her. Front-loaded knowledge on the Queen.
He can kind of set the mood for everybody else.
And everybody else is kind of like fucking off and doing their own thing, which is great for her. And fixing the solar panels definitely gets people a little bit better in Carol's graces, so...
Power goes a long way.
But it's notable that Daryl knows that. Daryl is painfully aware that that's the case. So, but then Daryl goes off on his own, and obviously hits his own little travails, right? But in the process of that, those scenes with the zombie soldiers are not nothing. There's smoke in the distance, which illustrates that there was some sort of remnant of a fire, which is maybe what Daryl was going towards. Who's the last person we seen in army fatigue? But our little Pope Mark burp.
Oh yeah, he
Grenade
was
guy.
a uniform, wasn't he? Yeah.
Which is why David Boyd was almost had jizzing all over the screen, because like he's like doing this, giving everybody a thumbs up. Yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah, that's what we wrote in the writer's room. Yeah. Because it's both soldier walkers and regular walkers, but obviously soldier walkers. I don't know if
At least 3 or 4 of them.
Could be 5. We don't know because the show's tricking us into thinking there's more. So it's all impressions now. But saying what I've said now, what do you think may be going on here? Just off the top of your dome, or if you've had time to think about it. What are these walkers? Are they the Reapers? Were they burned out by the Reapers? Was this armor fatigue guy in response to the Reapers? Like
I should have been more intuitive to noticing the army fatigues, because when I saw them and I knew that Daryl was without his knife, I thought the same thing he probably did. Oh, they're gonna have shit. Yeah, they're gonna have a bunch of shit. So, and honestly, that's kind of where my thought ended. I'm like, oh yeah, go get him. He's gonna have shit. And then I saw another one, and I'm like, oh, score!
More
yeah,
shit.
get him too, more shit. So that, like, yeah, I didn't even think about anything.
Shit.
I didn't even think about anything bigger. I just thought about, what the army guys would have.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Shit I need.
Shit. Hallelujah. It's a rain shit. Oh,
Multi-tools everywhere.
Which, again, most of the stuff he found was bullets and magazines. A couple of Leatherman multi-tools and some MREs.
Yep,
Very
some
helpful. Oh, that'll fill your belly up for days, actually. You've eaten MREs, right?
I have not. Eric has, but I have not had that pleasure.
They're actually really good.
I think it depends on which ones you get. Because
lately?
Eric had a few, and he said they were like dog food. It was nasty.
It's passable. But, put it this way. Think what you want of them, right? In the apocalypse, it
would be gourmet.
Liquid gold. Yeah,
yeah,
my God.
Yep.
Remember when Rick and Michonne found them? They made a chili mac, and I was like thinking, you're not having sex. Oh, you are. Oh, that's a bad idea.
Hurry before the Bee Gees set in.
Yep. or their RGs, the rumble guts.
Yeah, bubble guts. Yeah, that's the Bee Gees, the bubble guts.
Stand alive, stand up. Yeah. Anyway, it makes you think a little bit about, okay, Marco. Like
now, so, I think that, yeah.
So there's a little bit of illusion there. So it makes you think: was that guy part of the Reapers? Was this guy just another faction fighting the Reapers? Was you know what I mean? Like, because they're dead, obviously. So
these soldiers look like they had been dead a long time too. Don't you think? Like they didn't look fresh.
But why are they emerging now? Like, where are they coming from, right? Or did they open a facility maybe that was overrun by them? Or there's just, again, a lot of questions, but it makes us think a little bit because this is obviously something significant that we shouldn't not talk about.
If it were just one soldier, I would say, okay, he was there because Daryl needed his supplies, but there were multiple soldiers, so that's on purpose. That has to mean something. You're right.
But they're not burnt up. They're roaming free. I don't know, maybe the facility that housed them burned down, or there's no way to tell really, but there's obviously significance to it. We're not going to know. We're not going to know till season 11, if at all. Who knows? Last season, you never know what's going to happen. Just like my first instinct regarding the guy that was sniping out Maggie's running crew, I can't be 100% certain this is the Reapers. And even talk to the folks that have been on Talking Dead, like Angela Kang and some of the writers, even they haven't alluded yes or no on that front. So I might stick with my first instinct on that one. Like, these soldier guys, not the Reapers, but dicks, still dicks, and maybe are being taken out by the Reapers. Who knows? Which is why maybe those soldier people think Maggie's crew are the Reapers.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting?
Which is why they're being so aggressive.
I'm interested to see more of Maggie's people, too. Jerry said a bunch of Maggie's people are asleep in Michonne's kitchen. And I'm thinking, all of Maggie's people we've met so far are dead.
Like a handful, yeah.
Are dead.
But I like what Carol's recap in the beginning told us. Things that we had suspicions of but weren't 100% certain of. One of the things we said right off the bat from the first episode of these bonus episodes was another handful of mouths to feed. Even though some of them got killed off, another handful of mouths to feed among the hilltoppers that now have to be segmented through Oceanside and Alexandria. Yeah. And it's hardship. And then once Find Me comes out, I had the suspicion, I think maybe both of us had the suspicion that they're going out to hunt because obviously look, things are running thin. We need food. Finds a deer on the road that's been ravaged by the Whisperers/walkers, and they're just not having good luck. They find fish, but how much? Not that much. And so the suspicion was, oh, it's looking bad. And so when she recaps in the beginning, we're like, okay, now we know that Maggie's people is another stressor to this already bad situation. And somebody says as much too. Somebody actually says as much that if they don't find food soon, it's going to be a problem. I don't know if it was this episode, but
food shortages is obviously a very real, big problem, especially, right now because the Whispers destroyed everything. But when it comes to bringing new people in, I don't know that I would look at them and be like, oh God, more mouths to feed. I mean, yes, that is part of it, but these are also more, right? Yeah, but these are also more people to help and rebuild and plant and go out and hunt and look and bring it back for everybody else. The more mouths to feed, to me, is on the lower end of problems, considering how much more of an asset these people could be.
Right, until it gets so bad that it does become a problem, right? And that's
right.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm on your side with saying, yeah, more people means more hands, more minds, more empty bellies, but
more people thinking about how to solve all these problems. That's never a bad thing. Yeah.
But then it kind of brings me back to what Carol says, which is, and has been brought up before. Aaron has said it, I think, too. Maybe our luck's run out. Maybe this place is over. Alexandria's over. Yeah. Which makes it a prime opportunity for somebody like the Commonwealth to come in and just solve all their problems, right? This is priming them for that gateway, And
do you think this series is going to end happily?
I'm not saying the conclusions that everything's going to be okay. I'm just saying that it's a perfect moment for these people to take advantage of their circumstances. Yeah. That's all I mean. I'm not saying all I see is cake and ice cream in these teasers.
Right?
And what was the latest promo? Because I kind of missed it.
Oh, I don't know if I saw a newer one.
Okay, yeah, it's a gavel. It's not just that it's a gavel. It's not a judge's bench. This is like a city council kind of a half circle with a bunch of seats. And there's mics set up and everything, but there's a gavel at the end. So it's more like a city council meeting kind of looking setting. One of the first teasers was the Hornsby interview room, which we added the vocals to, the ice cream, the cake. Then there was the subway, which said, God should ask me for forgiveness. That was really cool, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Then the very next one is a justice thing. So it's kind of like forgiveness, justice, cake, let them eat cake, ice cream, we have ice cream. So they lure you in with this, and then they elicit feelings of probably like regret, remorse, justice, whatever. And then the last one is a scene of justice, like a city council, like ruling.
I wonder who they will get to play Pamela Milton if they even choose to go with that character. I feel like the Pamela Milton character is someone they could gender bend.
Interesting.
And get away and be absolutely fine. Pamela Milton does not need to be a female role. If they decided to cast a male as the leader of the Commonwealth, that wouldn't affect the story at all.
You know what my natural response to that's going to be? Anyone's natural response to that would be, why, in the age that we live in, where the future's female, there's an ever-present sense of female empowerment, why would that go to a man? Or how could they justify that role going to a man?
I mean, I hope they don't, because women kick ass too, obviously. Look at Colby Menifee as Virginia. She is the baddest of badasses. That's right, Sharon D. # girls get it done. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to come off like I want a man to play that role. I just, in my head, I'm going, if they were to pick somebody else, Kelly's character is actually a man in the comic books.
Oh, yeah. That's
so if they were to do that again...
the other way, though.
Right. So if they were to do that again, Pamela Milton's character is someone that they could do that with that isn't going to impact the storyline at all. That was my only thought process. I'm not saying I want a man to play that role. I'm just saying if they did that, I'd go, okay.
Well, you know what that actually makes me think of is remember what you said about Princess and Yumiko?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe she's their one of the...
Maybe.
What if Mercer is a troll? What if Michael J. Shaw is not going to be Mercer, and then they kind of bait and switch and put a female character?
Wait, as Mercer?
Yeah.
They've already announced him as Mercer.
But what if it's like a big old troll? What if it's just like, oh, I'll go along with this? That would be kind of cool, though, if they did do that. Then they can make Pamela Milton a guy. And so they can shoot.
If Mercer's a girl and Pamela's a boy.
Like a big, strong, like a powerful woman.
Yeah, but
Mercer.
Why would they do that? Why would they come out and announce someone as a character and then be like, just kidding, dude. Go back to your corner. You're not playing this game.
Girl,
that would be so mean. That would be so mean.
Super Troll Brothers. You know, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
Everybody now Sharon and Rebecca Bunch are like saying,
oh my gosh,
Meryl Streep, Lady Grantham is Pamela.
Meryl Streep would be amazing. Maggie Smith would be amazing.
Smith, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now Maggie Smith's a little older to play the Pamela Milton character, only because she has, in the comics, I don't know what they're going to do on the show, Pamela has a son who's, I don't know, I'd say between 20 and 30.
Kind of like a Deanna, really.
Somewhere in that little shit range. Yeah, he's very much Spencer. Oh yeah, could be a grandson. Very good point. See? You fixed it. Yep. Doesn't have to be a son. Could be a grandson. Little shitty grandson.
And what would make that a very interesting decision is seeing how old Maggie Grace is. And she's very old. How someone like that could live in the apocalypse. Only the Commonwealth could make that happen.
She would be stellar in that role, too, honestly.
But like really to illustrate the point that this is how safe their community is.
Right, someone can live to this age and thrive.
I'll take your words under advisement as we watch, because we don't know if they're going to fill that role, if they can even use that role. Maybe they could pull a like they could say this person's in power. You know, oh, Pamela's going to be really angry, and then they get to the boss's office and Pamela Milton doesn't exist.
Oh, okay, it's just like this big shadow figure that everyone's afraid of that doesn't exist.
Exactly, or it's like one of those Manchurian Candidate kind of things. Like oh, it's just a dumbass in a chair, and really the council takes care of everything or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what's going to go on. I'm very curious to see if we're ever going to see Jane Atkinson again.
Which, again, I think we can conclusively say that's not Pamela Milton. This Georgie thing, again, we're only saying this because we said it before and we have to say it again. Georgie is not Pamela Milton. No. Never was, never will be. Separate thing.
Definitely different.
Possibly related to the Pioneers, most likely because she went out west. Mm-hmm. I don't think it has anything to do with the CRM. It's too small potatoes.
Yeah.
Too much trying to struggle to keep these communities alive.
She looked exactly like Pamela Milton out of the comics, though. I mean, they could not have drawn her any better.
Yeah, it's what a bait and switch too. Mm-hmm. She's hanging out with Cudlitz on Clarice. Is she in Clarice? Maggie Smith?
Maggie Smith isn't, but Nora, the actress who played Devon Tyler, I think is her name.
Nora from Fear of the Walking Dead?
Yeah, Nora from Fear of the Walking Dead is on Clarice.
She says Jane Atkinson is on
yes. Jane Atkinson is on Clarice as well. Devon Tyler and Michael Cudlitz are on Clarice.
That's getting too close. It's getting too close for comfort. We're hitting too many TWD alums. I'm getting excited.
Are you kidding? TWDU infects everything. Like, if I see one Walking Dead actor on a show, I'm like, oh, you're in my family now. The whole show. This whole show.
Come here. I collected you. Yep. You're mine.
Yep.
Do you think Heath is going to be more with CRM or with Commonwealth at this rate? Because initially we said CRM has to be helicopter, garbage person, Jadis. And now I'm thinking because of where they were down south, near Oceanside, I was thinking to myself, oh, that is closer to Commonwealth territory. So canon-wise, it just makes sense. But
for Heath's sake, I hope he's at Commonwealth.
Same.
How would you classify Heath's fighting skills? Would you consider him a soldier?
No, not when we last left him. I mean, he did take part in the murders.
If the CRM doesn't find him useful, I think he's a goner. But the Commonwealth, they will make him useful. They will find a place. He will find a place there.
The irony of him being useful to the CRM in some way, if not another way, right? The other, the B's versus A's. But then the irony of the Commonwealth, oh, you may be useful in this way in this apocalypse, but no, our thing is about the past, so you're going to be what you were before.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what you've become. And so that's the weird, why I love these groups, and I hope that they never meet. I hope that those two never meet. I really don't. If they were to meet, I say this because I'm afraid that they'll grow bigger, not fight each other. I think they'll see some common thread in this Venn diagram of trying to keep this thing up. And honestly, I think the CRM could be like, yeah, we could use a little of that before shit. And the Commons will be like, we could use some of that manufacturing shit. And they'd be like, yeah, we could just switch our uniforms to black and have the red things still, and then you can have the red things, and we'd be a big family, and then they'll still kill them. But, well,
we're black and red.
Yeah, exactly. I think that looks kind of cooler, don't you? Like the black with the red stripes.
Yeah.
Come on.
That would be a much cooler uniform.
Come on.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, I think the CRM would see the Commonwealth as a threat. I mean, they saw Campus Colony as a threat, and they weren't nearly as advanced as Commonwealth is going to be. I personally think they would find them threatening, and they have the manpower to go in and just wipe them out.
But then what's the recourse? What if they find out that the losses... Oh, you know what? And this brings me back to communism. This is terrible, though, too, because I keep thinking about the Russian population at post-World War II and World War One, how they suffered the most losses than anybody after both World Wars. We're talking about tens of millions, scores of people lost in that war. Generations that could have been something, nothing. And so I think about that, and then I think about the CRM. I think about 200,000 strong, and I think about them trying to battle 80,000. And who's to say that in that battle, the numbers matter? Because sometimes it's just a matter of territory, not just resources, terrain advantage. Does the Commonwealth have an underground bunker? Do they have satellite locations? Even if you are an accepting group, doesn't mean that you don't have strategy. So I'm thinking, like, if the CRM mounts an attack, they could lose scores of people. And again, what's it for? If you're trying to rekindle civil society, there's got to be something for after, right, Rick?
Yeah.
And again, I say communism because when we were going through some of the Civic Republic, the messages on the boards and the being together and the camps and the relocation camps and the gulag and the way they run their society, I keep thinking like, oh, this is communism made real. This is the authoritarian society that they have to maintain order. It's almost like if the Saviors were the JV team, because we also compared the Saviors back in season 8 to like if Negan was Stalin, Rick is the United States of America, you know, like, and so
yeah.
But if Negan was the JV team, CRM is like the major leagues. Like this is on a whole other organized level. It's not top down. It seems like they would have to have some sort of check within the military, you know. So anyway, I don't want to wax too philosophical on that, but I just I'm thinking of the numbers that would be lost in the Endeavor, and then like the crossover, and then the movies, and then who's involved in those movies. And I'm thinking, oh God, are our survivors gonna get sucked in somewhere in the middle, like between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead and Walking Dead World Beyond? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little turned on because to think about it a little bit. I mean, this goes back to something that Kim said in our talk with Aim for the Head podcast and Brains Gone Bad, like how, wow, they really are setting this up to be like some sort of Star Wars franchise. They're really building this world in order for all of us to kind of keep track of canon and really get involved in the lives and the happenings on and all around the at least the United States, maybe a little bit beyond, into this world that they've built from nothing, from a comic book, and gave it flesh. And Sharondy says deadgasm. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Speaking of deadgasms, what do you think Carol meant when she said smells like Daryl? Is this like a running joke that we're touching on that we're never going to talk about again?
Yeah, I don't know. People have a scent about them, don't they?
Yeah.
When it's familiar, you know it.
My friend used to tell me that I smelled like maple syrup and ham some days.
That's not the worst thing you can smell like. That sounds pretty delicious to me, actually. So
for a Jew, yeah. Best you can hope
I guess
for.
When she said it, to me, it just sounded more like, oh, we're home.
I guess so. That makes sense. But also the fact that she said it out loud.
Yeah. And now, of course, we're like, well, what does Daryl smell like?
Right, exactly. I want to know.
It's probably sweat and mud.
Shandy says our hair, but like I think she means hair.
Hair?
Maybe burnt hair?
Oh, sweat and dog hair.
Sweat and dog hair. Ew, gross.
Sweat and mud. Maybe maybe some grease if he was working on his motorcycle.
Yeah. That thing's been through the moon and back. Ugh, so is he. Been dragged through the moon and back.
Right. The only other thing I wanted to say was how perfect the song at the end was. Reading the lyrics while watching the episode and just like being stabbed repeatedly in the chest.
Yeah, exactly. Because it just cuts to the quick.
Oh, it so does.
What's the first lyrics? You made your bed, now sleep in it.
Ugh. That alone. They could. That gutted me right there.
I will say, and I think you said this already, just to reiterate, it does feel like the fact that Carol is committed to fix the drywall, to fix everything that's been broken, whether it's on this episode or otherwise, tells me that she's committed to staying. Like, even though she muses to Doc, she says, I could leave. Mm-hmm. I could do this on my own. And she can. And we both know she can.
Yep.
Can she do it well? Yeah, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But when she has those bad days, which she's having, It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. And then who do you want around you when those days happen? Jerry. Definitely Jerry. Just take Jerry with you. Just take Jerry with you. I don't know.
Everyone should have Jerry with them. But really, you want your best friend.
But then you start thinking, maybe I could use Maggie. Maybe Maggie gets me. And she does.
After the conversation Maggie and Daryl had, I think you're right. I think Maggie is going to understand what Carol did. She's going to understand her motivations. Maggie might be a really good person for Carol to talk this through with.
Or especially given the response.
Yeah.
To her confession about Hilltop. She didn't dwell on it. She just said, I get you. And it's something that we haven't got to see for several, couple seasons at least. But even Sharon says, I want a Jerry spinoff. I'd rather have a Jerry spinoff, I think. She was probably means I'd rather have a Jerry spinoff than a Carol and Daryl spinoff. I don't blame her. I mean, there's something to it. Maybe like a comic strip, right? It'd be kind of cool, like a cartoon, a Jerry cartoon.
I want Ezekiel to get better, so him and Jerry can have more fun scenes and not have this dread looming over Ezekiel.
But you know what, though? I don't think that's going to happen, partially because going back to the teaser that we just broke down, part of what you're supposed to think of when you see that gavel is, who's playing the part of Michonne?
Who's the judge?
And now whom I'm thinking here's the thing. If Zeke lies and says he was a judge or a senator or whatever, he can get in there because Zeke is a king. Mm-hmm. Now, what are they going to reduce him to if he doesn't lie, right? He was a zookeeper. So he can be a zookeeper in the Commonwealth?
He's an actor, and he's good at it.
That's what he wanted to be.
Look at him. He's playing the role of king. He's very convincing.
I would love for that to be the case. Part of what the Commonwealth is rigidly about is, no. It's not what you wanted to be before the apocalypse. It's what you were. You wanted to be a great actor. You ended up being a zookeeper.
He could lie and say he was anything and be convincing at it, is my point. He could say he was a judge before. He could say he was a congressperson and sell it convincingly. He's just that smooth.
That's what I'm looking for. And that's what I'm hoping he does, because what else is that gavel for? Because it's supposed to be a nod. It's supposed to tell you, but Michonne is supposed to be like a lawyer in this, and she is definitely not going to be in the Commonwealth. Somebody's going to have to take up that role.
Well, and to be fair, lawyers don't use gavels.
Although Yumiko.
Judges do.
Yumiko. I forgot about Yumiko.
Lawyers don't use gavels, though.
No, but
judges do.
I'm just saying, evoking the sense, the courtroom.
Of the courtroom feel.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
But we forgot about Yumiko. Yumiko's a lawyer also.
Correct. Yep.
Of course, I forget about the ancillary character we don't really have too many of the goods on, and she doesn't have many speaking parts as much as we'd like.
Well, even though we just heard her last week.
Yeah. Oh, that's something else I wanted to talk about. Because I finally noticed the ADR on this episode. Some of the speaking parts where Jerry and Carol are speaking to each other, when they're focusing on the Jerry cam and you hear Melissa, let's say Melissa, you can hear the kind of echo in the room where she recorded the ADR. Because when the camera's on Jerry, the boom mic is on Jerry. It's not on Carol. When they record her parts to speak over Jerry, or to speak, respond to Jerry over her shoulder or whatever, over the camera's shoulder, that's in a room. And that's not in a room with a bunch of sound people. That's in a room in her house. You can actually hear the echo in her house as she's recording the volume. So I want you to listen to that scene very closely with headphones. You will hear what I'm hearing.
Okay.
ADR happens all the time.
Don't forget she was in a garage, which garages are echoey too.
No, this isn't in the garage scene. This is when they first meet. Hey, dude.
Oh, this is outside. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. The outside. Okay.
That
no
scene,
excuse.
They're in front of each other. There's no ADR. Fine. But in that scene, the scene where the fish and the fertilizer, that whole scene, listen carefully. Just listen to that whole scene. Bit by bit, pause. Take a little pause. Take a little beat. Then hit it again. You'll hear the room that she and he, by the way, he is also, you can also hear the ADR when he speaks over her, the camera shoulder to her while the camera's fixated on her. Okay. It's so great. It's so great. But again, it's sad too. It's like
these little things.
This is what we're kind of not forced to, but like this is what they have to do to get it done, to squeeze these episodes out for us. So
yeah.
I
commend them. Let's be honest, a normal person wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
We're not normal.
No.
You're not normal. We're not normal.
and usually what happens is you get a clean take of the audio, ideally. I'm very familiar with that.
Right.
Then you run it through a bunch of filters, like a room filter or an outdoor filter, or is it outdoors with a dog and some streams and some crickets in the background, that sort of thing.
Okay.
If it's clean enough, you can put it anywhere. You can, visually or auditorially speaking, you could put it anywhere. You could put some background track to it, whatever it is, to make it sound rough, like it's distant, things like that. But if it's in a dirty room, I say dirty, I mean like has room noise, has all this stuff, echo. It's hard to do the things that you want to do with the Foley and all the sound effects and stuff like that. So speaking of sound effects, there's something I want to hit on right after we talk about the song we were about to talk about, which was You Made Your Bed, Now You Sleep. But this is a song by
Amateur Blonde.
Amateur Blonde, right? It's called No Worries.
No Worries.
And I actually lifted this off of an article from Renee Hansen, Iowa Mama of 3. Here's the thing, it pops up here. It was one of the first few results, so I got to give her a little shout out. It says, you made your bed, now sleep in it, and dreams will cut the words out. I grind my teeth to chalk, finding words to say to you. Ooh. Any fool can carry on with grand delusions. Ooh, she's a fool. Ooh. Any dog like me could find, Daryl, the best way through the fence to get to you. You just don't think about the time. You just don't focus on the time. Oh, of all the things you planned and never did. Of all the things you asked of me, while you worried about the time, you just worried about the time. Thank, which is cool. A little harmonization. This neighborhood, this hood's a border town, plagued by numbers. Ooh, doesn't bode well. Plagued by numbers. This fallen tree turned to boards, boarding up the doors to you. Ooh, time is not good. Of all the things you planned and never did, of all the things you asked of me, of all the things you said and never did. Oh, all the things you promised. Oh, and she has an interpretation. I'm into it. Renee's always been about music. She loves music. So having to do this probably was like a deadgasm.
I love breaking down the music that they use in the episodes.
Right. So this is what she says. Give me a break. You know, I don't need to analyze this one. But she says the argument has been had, and now they must deal with what was said. Because they let things fester for so long, they can't even have a conversation at this point because emotions are too high. Both of them have delusions that things can be okay instead of dealing with them. Thought the same thing. I don't know about both of them. Daryl's kind of like, I know things are going to be okay, but I think they're not now, so let's act like they are. I think Carol, I guess she's exhibited through this episode, pretends like everything's all right, and Jerry kind of just shoves it in her face like, hey, you want to wrestle up some stones? And she's like, okay. Both of them have delusions that things can be okay instead of dealing with them. Both Carol and Daryl are good at getting themselves out of sticky situations, but can't deal with this fight that they've had. The plans, they've joked about leaving together, but there's this seriousness behind these plans. So who knows if they'll happen. Alexandria's been damaged, and there have been too many people making it difficult to provide for them all. They both feel the pressure of providing for this group. True, all that true. Carol and Daryl will get Carol and Daryl will get over this fight they had. They've been friends for too long for even a fight like this to come between them. The song speaks volumes about where their relationship is in this episode. So just a moment in time. That's spot on. I don't know about the Daryl part of it. I think Daryl is where he is. I think even he's kind of like, this is just the thing. Because even at the end of this episode, what does he do? He holds the door open, waits for her to start closing the garage door. He knows. I think he's smart enough to know to leave the door open, to leave the window open, to kind of let her in enough to say, hey, it's not over. I'm just having a moment, yo. Jerry is like, sometimes you just need a hug. You'll get through it. And even I think throughout this episode, she even goes to herself, to Dog even, I think it was. I think she's like, all right, I guess soup's not happening today. Meaning, yeah, there's always tomorrow. So I think she gets it. I think it's just hard.
It's hard when you're right in the middle of all those feelings, you know? I mean, yes, you know it's going to be okay, but you're still sitting in it. Sorry, I'm getting choked up talking about it again. When you're in the middle of it, you want to fast forward time. I know I'm going to be okay, but I need to get through this first. And all you want to do is skip ahead to where you feel okay, and you can't.
So I wrote this down a lot in my notes, but I never really got to talk about it. But a lot of what Zeke taught Carol served her well. Fake it till you make it. And she's trying it out. Bless her. She's trying.
Well, I think Carol's good at faking a lot of things. I mean, don't forget about her past even before the apocalypse.
All of that true, and 100%. I think Zeke unlocked something in her also that says, well, you can also use it to just get through life in general for yourself and your personal problems. Not in a malicious way, not in a way that hurts you, but like, think of what you can do if you just put a mask on and go into battle. When it comes to small things in your personal life, like pretending to be queen or king, just to be a symbol that everybody rallies behind to get things better, like the Stone Soup Parable. The Stone Soup Parable is just the people to center around a single goal of getting people fed. Well, you can be that for a lot of things. You can be that to be the queen. You can be a symbol of hope. You can be something that people stand in awe watching you fix a solar panel. You can be that.
Yeah.
But after a while, and this is best exhibited by Jerry, when he was saying, Ezekiel would have a saying for that, all I kept thinking about was, sometimes you have to let the cracks form to let the light come in. That's all I was saying over and over. And that's all I was like, what does that mean, Carol? That means sometimes you just have to be real. Just be real for 1 second. You could put the mask on right after that. Stop bullshit. Stop bullshitting a bullshitter. I know you. Take your hug. You had a bad day. Take a hug. Then you can put the mask on and be the symbol of hope again. Take a break. You're not Batman.
I think Carol needs to have a breakdown. Not like a mental break. I mean, she needs to cry and sob for a while and get all of that on the outside because she's holding it all in. I thought she was going to cry when Jerry hugged her. That would have been the moment that I went, oh, yup, blah, floodgates open.
Well, if you were watching just before that, she was saying, admitting finally, I had a bad day. I had a bad day. And you could see like the wateriness of her eyes.
That's why I thought she was going to I thought the floodgates would open and she would just bawl.
Nobody ever said that she didn't. She could have. And then she had her cry. Daryl came back and then everything was kind of all right, just being nice to her, whatever. Things went well. Yeah, it's good. The one thing that I did want to say, and I'm glad we brought that up, did you get this distinct, awkward, and maybe even knife in your belly kind of feeling when Daryl said, nah, you keep the Swiss Army knife? Because I felt oozing off of her like this kind of like, oh, you don't need me?
Yeah, that really hurt my gut. Well, okay then. Yeah. Then she just sort of pocketed it and I'm like, okay.
But I thought that was interesting. A lot of things happened in that one moment to me. Yes, she felt that way. It's nice to feel needed. And sometimes you want to feel needed by the people you love the most. After that scene, I thought to myself, being friends with somebody, it's nice to want to be needed, but you shouldn't have to be needed. I think about this a lot in my practice because I have to sometimes take these relationships and bring them into the real world and say, but real friends shouldn't have to need each other to be friends. It's good to have each other's back when you're needed, but it's not the thing of which the foundation of that friendship relies on. And I think something so small as a Swiss Army knife symbolizing the fact that, oh, I don't really need you, that shouldn't be the thing that keeps you together, that you need each other. Because that's how their friendship started, Sophia. And Daryl just threw himself into her problem to fix it.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. I think this is good for them, though. And then symbolized by the fact, okay, Daryl's welcome back to the gate. He leaves the gate open. And I love the timing on this. Daryl's backyard fence door slams at the exact same moment the garage door hits the floor. I thought that was very symbolic.
I didn't like the symbolism that I got from it at all. They were closing the door on each other.
But it's okay. Just in the other room.
Right. I know. Same it was house. It was just like a moment thing, but in that moment, it felt so much more final. And I was already heightened in emotional state because of the song. And I'm like, it was hard to swallow. I'm like, no, don't shut the door on each other.
Well, at least they slam it on each other.
Well, I mean,
felt like it.
Yeah, it felt very final, even though it was they're mad and they need a moment. I get it, but it felt heavy.
But there's like a symbolism about them doing the same thing, hitting the same mark with whatever sound effect they're trying to achieve. So are they very different? No. Are they the same? Yes. Are they very similar people that went on a very similar journey? Yeah. I mean, it didn't work out for some, Carol, but it worked out for Daryl. But you know what? Maybe next time around it won't work out for Daryl and it will work out for Carol so much, So we don't know. I mean, again, there's not so many episodes that you can tell this story where we can continue this saga. In all these bonus episodes, these are the two characters that got 2 episodes to tell their tale. One was largely Daryl focused. The other was Carol focused. But both are nothing without the other person in it to be a backboard to bounce things off of. Kind of like Aaron being the backboard for Gabriel. Kind of like Yumiko, Eugene, Ezekiel being the backboards for Princess's story. So they're kind of lucky that they both got their own episodes. But still, something bothers me about it. We got this much out of it. Find Me could have been, and it is, Find Me was the precursor to Diverged. It just rolls one after the other. It's now like you're feeding the birds too much birdseed. Now they want more birdseed. And so we were left wanting more, and there's not going to be more. The writers must be keeping in mind that we do want more, and hopefully in writing season 11, we will get a little bit more than closure. Maybe we'll get a payoff for this level of character development. These are things I think about when you get this much data on two people. I'm thinking now the writing for season 11 has to give some sort of, we have this knowledge, where is it going to take us into season 11? And now we're going to have season 10-esque, not bonus episode style episode, where this information has to take us somewhere. I'm giving the people who may have said, fuck this episode, this is going to matter. It's going to matter.
Yeah.
And how long do you have to wait? Just a couple months, you lucky bastards.
Right. There are no throwaway episodes. There's not. I mean, there are slower ones, but they're not going to put something out for nothing. Every episode is important. You got to find why it's there.
It's just a matter of waiting.
Blazy just sent me a sad picture. She's trying to make me cry. Can you see it?
I see a meme that it's a typical Sharondy meme. So there's a Diverged.
It's
John and June. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing, so I have to describe this for audio.
The parallels.
On the top panel, it's Daryl and Carol diverging in the wood, and in the bottom panel, it is John and June diverging on the highway. Sadness galore. Keeping in mind the fact that we're not running out of content until much later. You're going right into Fear the Walking Dead, might be going right into The Walking Dead again. Maybe a week break, maybe a month, who knows? I don't think so. We've got 9 episodes that will take us into the summer. The summer will pick up with Walking Dead season 11, probably the first 8 episodes. We might get a break after those 8 episodes, and then only to go into The Walking Dead World Beyond, probably. And then after The Walking Dead World Beyond, first half, maybe, I don't know how long this season's going to be, we go back to Fear the Walking Dead, season 7, which is a go, obviously, and then we go right back into The Walking Dead right after that half is finished, and we go back into February. Oh my God, we're... Okay, but the good news is, Sharondy might have convinced me to release our Fear the Walking Dead intro as a ringtone as well. You know that little click, clack, click, clack. What's great about that intro is that it's in stereo sound, and all those TikToks are left, middle, center, middle, left, middle, right, middle, left. So it's kind of cool. It'll play if you play it with headphones on. It's pretty trippy. So
nice.
I might rework it to kind of make it fuller. Maybe I don't know. Maybe give some more meat to it. We'll see. And since it's Fear, Sharondy's gonna like it, and she'll get it for free because
nice.
If you really like what we're doing, head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead and just follow us so that you can be in the know about when we're recording, when the unedited episodes drop, and when any perks come out. Say like our weekly Jackbox games sessions, which we have Wednesday night, so that's 2 nights from now. Is it Monday night now?
I just had to check the month. Now I have to check the day. Monday, yes.
So you can join us on stream if you buy us a coffee. You can get the ringtones that we're releasing currently for free. You can get the clips playlist on our YouTube page. So you just attach our clips playlist to your YouTube account, and you can be in the know for any new clips that drop, and also play some oldies. And all those clips actually have links to take you to the full episode, whether on audio or streaming. So it's a perfect gateway to get you caught up if you really want to catch up. And if you don't want to go through all of that, at the very least you could do is rate us at ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars in that plan is all we need to know. But if you like something, if you don't like something, if you just want to communicate your thoughts to us as a podcast in detail, every little bit counts. And I'll tell you why. Because before the weekend started, we were ranking as number 19 in TV reviews for podcasts in Canada. All of TV reviews in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, we've dropped down to 48, but that's still that's not small potatoes.
That's still exciting.
We're doing great in Australia, by the way, in TV reviews and entertainment. It's a subcategory.
Thank you, Australia.
Austria, still we're doing great. So it's
thank you, Austria.
RateThisPodcast.com does help. Listening helps.
Awesome.
We're doing great. We're doing great on audio. Streaming video, we could be doing better, I'm sure. I'll keep plugging away. I will keep plugging away. It's working. But again, we need your help. RateThisPodcast.com/squawkingdead will help. I haven't seen your reviews. If I have been missing them, please DM us. You can DM us straight from our website, squawkingdead.com. On the bottom right, there's a little widget where you can DM us straight away. You can DM us on Instagram. Cool. I just want to know. If you are, and I'm not knowing about it, let me know. I know the only 2 places I know that have rating systems so far are Podchaser, I think, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. But if you go to ratethispodcast.com/squawking-dead, it's an easy portal to rate us in any one of those as it applies to you. Whether it's on your phone, your computer, a laptop, whatever it is, it gives you the right one for what you're using it on. So go ahead and do that thing. It just helps so much. Thank you very much. And so, guys, next week is Here's Negan.
I'm excited, but I know how you feel about backstory. So how are you feeling?
Listen, hey, once the camera starts rolling, I'm going to judge it by its own merits. We'll see what happens, because as we've been seeing more scenes, it feels like some of the scenes are pre-apocalypse.
Yes. Oh, I'm definitely picking up on that. Yeah.
But
or at least the very beginning.
Post-fall. I'm feeling, because he has the chemo and the thing, and he's not giving it back. If my wife dies, I die. So it could be just after the fall. So I'm okay with that.
And from what I've seen, it's going to be very different from the comic book. Mm-hmm.
But I will say one thing. There is an exception to the rule. There's going to be a slight exception to the rule if this is the case. Want to hear my exception? I haven't really thought this one through, so I'm going to think about it as I go. I'm pretty crafty like that. If they film it much in the way the pilot for The Walking Dead is, like in kind of motif, in the style of the pilot, I won't be mad at it, because there's a little bit of a parallel going on. And I'll be like, okay, well, I'll give you some artistic leeway on that. If you're kind of build Negan the way Rick was built in the first episode, have at it. That makes what you're trying to do, like, okay, now we're taking you from the perspective of Negan from the beginning. Like how he was just before moving into this thing.
And what have we always said? Negan was this big bad villain, but had we started The Walking Dead from his perspective, Rick would be the bad. He would be the big bad. So this might be our opportunity to see that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and I don't know how far we're going to go. I doubt very far in terms of Negan's backstory, but we might get some surprises.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing how different this is going to be from the backstory I already know.
Oh, and Sharondy's saying it's a bonus episode. I think Sharondy's saying lower your expectations.
Oh.
And you know what? I wonder, some of the reviewers that have had the screeners have said you are not ready for Here's Negan. So I don't know, Sharondy, we might convert you.
They also called this episode a piece of crap, so I can't really trust their judgment right now.
Yeah, let's leave it there. Oh, especially Johnny Odell, I think. Yeah, he got it from all sides. So you know what? When you say something, you got to be prepared for the consequences, right, Carol? Right, Johnny?
I almost wonder if he's not told to stir up some beef. I almost wonder if that's even his real opinion, or if it's just to cause a ruckus.
Well, it was on his personal account, so it wasn't on the Walking Dead account, obviously. Oh, God, can you imagine how that would have gone down? Johnny has hot takes. He just doesn't let the air out of the balloon very often. He tries not to. And you know what? I know, just as a personal aside, sometimes the fans get on his nerves so much. I will DM him on the side and be like, hey, dude, are you okay? Because I know these guys are getting on your nerves. After an episode comes out, people will say, oh, give us an Aaron picture. Oh, give us a Carol picture. You know, they'll in the replies for something.
What?
Yeah, and he'll do it. He'll give them a production photo of Carol.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
I know, he feeds the fucking birds.
Bad idea.
He feeds the birds and the trolls alike.
Yep.
But it makes him amiable. See, listen, as much as it's a slippery strategy, look, it works. Like, people will follow his account, they'll reply to it, they'll engage. But at the same time, he wears so many hats between talk dead to me, anyway. Point of the matter being is like, sometimes, you gotta let Johnny be Johnny. Gotta let a person be a person, and there's value in that. So, at least you know how he really feels about something. That's good. And he's not a bad person.
And that's fine. Look at me. You can hate the episode all you want, because I loved it. That's just more episode for me to love. I'm not gonna go spamming your accounts. Oh, sorry. We're not gonna open that door.
Whoa. No, I think you got quite enough this week. You got a little lift in your boots. You know what I'm saying? I think you're on cloud 9. At least to the end of this week. You never know.
I'm feeling good. I'll be riding the high for a little while.
Walking on sunshine.
That's right. Bring back Janice.
Yeah, Sharondy says hashtag bring back Janice.
Yep, we started that one.
So you're going to do that? You're going to... Okay, gotcha. I get the context now. Yep, I know what's going on.
Yep.
Hashtag bring back medicine. Bring back medicine. Anyway... Have a great night, guys. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you liked our episode with Peggy Schott, because it should be coming out before this one.
Oh, so excited.
So hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Peggy Schott. I was your host, David Cameo. Cosmom09, Rachel Burt. You got Blazy Gardner in the chat. You got Rebecca Punch trying to do what Becca Punch does, which is a lot of things I can't talk about. So,
being the champ.
Yeah, being a champ of the trivia.
That's right.
Yeah,
Just
remember to
living life, being the champion.
Yeah, that's right. Remember to DM Blazy Gardner to be a part of some of those trivia nights. And with that, we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.